Welcome to One of Nine, all our new viewers who might be coming across this type of content for the first time. We are a Catholic family. We go around meeting other Catholic families just to see what family life is like. You know, having large families, can we say that? You know, bigger than the average.
Yeah, generally they've got a higher number of children for the national average.
Yeah.
Well, thank God for that, hey?
Living the Catholic life is a bit more challenging than... God doesn't make it easy, let's say that.
Yeah, what's that expression about?
Take up your
How
cross.
God treats his friends or something.
Yeah.
But it's take up your cross, isn't it?
Yeah.
But also the joys and the crosses, all intertwined.
You can't take one out without taking the other.
When I'm walking, yes, I know I'm gonna be the man who's working hard for you. And when the money comes in for the work I do, I'll pass almost every penny on to you. When I come home, oh, I know I'm gonna be the man who comes back home to you. And if I broke, well, I know I'm gonna be the man who's growing over you. But I would walk 500 miles and I would walk 500 more just to be the man who walks 1,000 miles to fall down at your door. When I'm lonely, well, I know I'm gonna be the man who's lonely without you. And when I'm dreaming, well, I know I'm gonna dream about the time when I'm with you. When I go out, well, I know I'm gonna be the man who goes along with you. And when I come home, yes, I know I'm gonna be the man who comes back home with you. I'm gonna be the man who's coming home with you.
Hello, I'm Maria Jones. Welcome to One of Nine. Thank you for watching. Today we're with Fee. And Fee is married to Felipe, and they've got gorgeous little beloved John. And you might recognise Fee, and if you don't, go and have a look at her episode from last year, about 11 months ago we came.
Yep.
And so thanks for having us again, for a gorgeous lunch, for coming over, seeing how, you know, your family do it. And it's another example of coming into a family and seeing that it can all be done differently and getting little clues and tips of what to do. You know, even like how you did the spaghetti bolognese. How can it be different in different houses? But it is.
Totally different in every house.
It's funny, isn't
Getting
it?
bolognese and stuff, yeah.
We came last year,
Yeah.
maybe 11 months ago, when you had just had baby John, little John the Beloved.
Mm-hmm.
He was 3 weeks old.
Yeah.
He'd had quite a traumatic birth and cesarean.
Yeah, although what birth is not traumatic, you know.
Yeah, but some kind of tick more boxes than others. And then you'd not long moved house either.
Yeah.
And it'd been locked down and all that stuff.
Yeah, it was a
And you
bit...
welcomed us over so casually. A lot has changed since then. What would you say? And we'll start with just as being a mum, just like getting your head around being a mum.
Yeah, like, I think at first you don't feel like a mum because you don't yet feel like very separate from the baby. Like, you're just like, it still feels very like self-care. And then, you know, then other people are kind of coming in and perceiving it as your baby, and then you're like, oh yes, my baby. So yeah, it's surreal at first.
With sometimes at the birth, with things going on in the birth, or just an unexpected labour, kind of getting your head around that afterwards as well. So you're kind of getting your head around what's just happened. I've got this baby.
Yeah.
How did you find that? Bonding with the baby, that sort of thing.
I would say like when John was born, I felt that I didn't have like a Disney moment. I wasn't like, oh, put the baby in my arms. I want to love him. Here outpoureth all the love from me, And I know for a fact that some women have those because they're my friends and they would tell me the truth, so they definitely have them. And it didn't happen to me. He's the naughty boy. And it's the first night. And I think that, I didn't feel bad about that because I did feel like, there he is. I'm going to do everything to protect him and look after him. So it was more like that feeling of getting the shoulder to the grindstone, here we go.
Yeah, what do I need to do? Get it done.
Yeah, get it done. And I would say
it's enough to keep you busy with without having
very
to worry about
busy. And then you're very focused on your recovery. And when I remember when they took him out, and then I was literally said to Felipe, is it all right? And Felipe was like, yeah. And they're all like, oh, do you want to hold him? And I'm like, Felipe will hold him, it's fine. So Felipe was kind of the first to kind of blame him. And I just wanted to know that he was healthy, and I was also I was very moved that they said that he was a boy. Not that I didn't want a girl, but I was just it makes it real, doesn't it? You're like, oh, because we didn't
different
know,
part of me.
we didn't find out,
So finding out.
It's when they find out, you're like, oh, it's not just the baby bump. It's he's here and he's a boy, And me and Felipe, we both knew if it was a boy, it was John. So it was very oh, it's John, just in a moment. So
his name is John.
He's got his second name is after his dad then, because
Felipe.
Yeah, John Philip. So.
Some people go in and maybe expect to have, I should be loving the baby more or something. And maybe, did you feel like that sort of thing?
I was lucky, I didn't. But I think that I've known friends and they've had a lot of expectation on them to do that and to feel a certain way and that it's the happiest days of their life. And I think that can be very destructive. The expectation can lead to postnatal depression and things like that. For some reason I just always felt calm in the sense that I thought that I would bond with him as I went along, so I remember it was about 6 weeks. I was about 6 weeks in when I first had some what one might describe as romantic feelings. I mean I think a big part of it is I really think that I think that for me, love is definitely, those romantic feelings are, you can't control them. But love, in essence, is an act of will. So you've got the act of will and the actual doing of the, you're living the life, you're doing the actions. That's all fine. And it's quite faith in that way. So, you show up, you build your relationship with God and you listen, and sometimes you get consolations and sometimes you don't. Sometimes you're at mass and you're greeting and you're oh my gosh, and then sometimes you're just like that, I can barely stay awake. So it's kind of not for you to do it. And it was very the same with me for John and for that kind of baby bonding, and I think some women are given a lot.
Yeah. So just because so to compare it to our prayer life as well, just because we're not feeling it, we still show up.
You still do it, and it's to me it's the doing of it, which is the.
Go on.
That's what constitutes most of the love, So. Oh,
You're such a funny boy. You want to have a turn? You have a turn.
I think it's worth saying at this point there is another conversation going on here of will you marry me?
Yeah, exactly. We're really spectators to this.
We're just doing this to pretend we're not watching.
Exactly, so that we can play it at the wedding.
before you have the baby,
Shape.
it's so different.
It's so different, yeah, definitely.
You can just do anything you want.
I was in St Andrews and
It doesn't mean you don't know.
there's Father Bobby who's newly ordained last year.
Oh, yeah.
And he was giving a sermon and he was saying, you know, like God comes to you in every stage of your life. And I thought that's just so true. Like, and I think that there's a lot of humility involved when there's a big shake up, like you go into, you know, the baby life, the baby tunnel.
Yeah.
And lots of stuff that you used to do that probably gave you like a bit of spiritual pride, really. Like, you know, like you could go to a holy hour, you could like really sink in mass, you could concentrate, all these things. Like it becomes very unpredictable and out the window, but you have to actually like God's still like coming to you like through those spaces, but you have to be like humble enough to see that it's different. And that's okay, that you didn't do like what you used to do, and that okay, maybe you don't say a rosary every day at the end of the day at a certain point. Well, you guys are managing that now, but you know, like maybe you're saying decades throughout the day. Or for me, a big one was offering up the hard moments. Like sometimes you're not in the mood to offer things up, but sometimes it's like a real way of like doing something with that suffering that you're being asked to do. Some of the suffering you can feel quite like alone in that sometimes, you know. It's and so to like say to God, okay, listen God, you're asking me to do this and I'm going to do it and I'm going to give it back to you, like in a that's kind of hard to explain, isn't it? Like,
Is it like the currency of prayer, isn't it? Our suffering.
yes, yeah.
God, I'm still here. I want to offer it up. We've got such massive prayer intentions, and particularly conversions and wanting to get us all to heaven eventually together and things. I think it's going to cost. Maybe there is such thing. I can't wait to get to heaven actually, and there's some things I want to find out about or do like courses on, and one of them will be like the mathematics and justice of like the prayer and suffering system and how it all works.
I always think of it as it's very like parent to child relation. So like you're walking along and the child is just like, oh please can I have a chocolate bar, and you're just no. And it's like, you know, there's this wee nana I saw once, she was hilarious, and she was like, oh yeah, the thing that people don't understand is that God always answers our prayers. He just it's just sometimes he says no. It's exactly like that. Like the role of the parent is to always hear. You're like, I really want this to happen, God, I really want this. And
Yeah.
but then you know yourself that sometimes they come up with something so adorable and like so sweet that you're actually like, okay, I wasn't going to let you do that, but okay. You know, it's like the thing, like, so you do have, your petition does have like traction to like God's life, and you need to remember God's like a huge softie for us. Like that's why you've got this channel that Jesus has established and sustains. We're like the brother or sister of Jesus, so it's like, you know, the soft spot is kind of extended out. Talking about like currency, you know, like prayers like the Divine Mercy really like invoke, like, come on, God, like remember that, you remember what Jesus did.
Yeah.
For, you know, like, and he did that for me, and it's like, it's almost like shameless kind of nudging of like,
Please can I have the thing?
exactly. That's how I think of like that kind of prayer. Like I know that God is off, like he's always hearing me, and most of the time it's just like a kindly no or a kindly
It's a
like.
gorgeous analogy, and I'm going to be pondering it. It's probably going to be one of those things that will stay with me actually.
I think this wee face is going to stay with me like that. And it's funny because although my like prayer life has become very like, you know, scattered, and on the other hand, I do feel like I've gone through some kind of like spiritual SAS course. I've had to face up to how do I handle suffering, like suffering that I'm asked to do that I don't particularly want to do. That there is it, like no one else is showing up. Like it's like on me, like, you know, it's that crying in the middle of the night for the umpteenth time.
Oh gosh, yeah. Peter used to say that when Rupert was born, and it was like the baby's woken in the night, we're all like up and like, oh, feed the baby, and it's like, oh, right, back to sleep. And
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Get up again. It's like military training.
It's like
Get up
military
again.
training.
Go.
It's like military. That's hilarious because it's exactly like that. And you just have to come face to face with like I was just like, I always knew I wasn't that good a sufferer. Like I was like, all right, okay, so this is me with the chance to face up to that. Like I'll try and get out of the suffering. That's me.
And also, another thing I want to find out in heaven is the correlation between cuteness and
Babies that stay up in the night. Yeah, definitely.
how tricky they might be. Audrey,
that's
Audrey, not on that, honey, because you're just a little bit heavy for that one, all right? Well, actually, laundry used to be my worst thing to do.
Is that really, yeah.
So I've set an alarm in the morning, 9:30, and it's called Thank You God for Laundry, because I just had to turn it on its head and think there's always good in something. And the amazing thing is, it's now become my favourite part of the day. Peter was asking Lionel to do the laundry, and I said, well, can I actually do it? I look forward to doing it now. So go outside. Yeah.
So when you set the alarm, what do you do? Do you say it?
So
you
because it's the
pray
morning
about
one,
the laundry, or you do some laundry?
Yeah, I've got to get and do it.
Yeah.
So I might get a child to go and get the laundry stuff down, and then get it in the machine, and then when I go to hang it out, okay, it could be a summer thing. Mm-hmm. But still, I'll go and hang it out. But I'll hang it out all neatly and listen to Bible in a Year with Father Mike Schmidt.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
And I feel like this is like a prayer that's like going on for me. And like you say, just like being open to that it's going to look different, and that's okay. I can't get out for an hour adoration. Mm-hmm. And I should be making a lot more effort to do than what I am currently. Get in that like Bible in a Year or whatever else you can listen to something. Or Father Lawrence Lou's got a new rosary book, and I was reading in the front what his recommendations were, and he said it's a really good idea to do a decade throughout the day. Like just keep doing one decade by itself throughout the day.
And there's also
and I do like that because I can kind of wholly focus on that one decade rather than think I've got to get the whole rosary. And some decades I can just almost gloss over and not be really. And then when I've just got one decade and I can just really do that.
there's also the rock the baby to sleep decade. Have you done that?
No.
As in when you've got the baby to sleep, but then you're like that. Is it a fragile sleep? I don't know. Do I put them down? And I'm really impatient, so it's to stop myself just being like that, and then they wake up, and then you say a decade then.
Oh,
Just
that's a good idea.
Yeah, you often just pray for the baby to sleep. It's like,
I was going to say, it's a special intention. Yeah, immediate help.
it's fun. Yeah. It's funny, that probably sounds very pious, the mum holding the sleeping baby saying a rosary a decade over it, but actually
It's actually asking for desperate help.
like a real desperate moment.
Because I think, my sister was telling me about the habits of prayer, and we spoke about this in another one. She would cut, when she does her teeth, she always prays for a certain thing. When
I remember you saying that.
Yeah, Lucy.
Yeah. Also, I remember you saying that your mum was always talking about, sanctifying all those wee daily things. Yeah. I like that.
Like you say at Mass, it's like sometimes
You're not going to concentrate, but
you're not going to concentrate. It's almost like I'm not engaged, and I feel bad that I just think, Jesus, what does it mean to love you?
Yeah.
Can you just help me love you?
I know, but I think that again.
And sometimes I'm like crying receiving communion.
Exactly. No, exactly. You have to just,
And then I think, tone it down.
No, don't tone it down. Don't tone it down. I think it's exactly like that. You almost have to have, there's so much rawness in the mum life, and you need to have that humility. It's like what Father Bob was saying, you let God come to, God's coming to you. You know what I mean? He knows what state of life you're in. That state of life is sanctified by him, and he's coming to get you. You need to be on the lookout for it. You can't be so hung up on I used to hang out with God in this way, that way.
Loneliness is a place that I know well. It's the distance between us and the space inside ourselves. Emptiness is the chattering in your months and years, filling in the time, my dear, trying to find a place where I belong. Hopelessness is the darkness in your heart. It's the sound of one hand clapping while it's pulling you apart. Oh, and I know, yeah, I know what you feel. I know what you feel, baby. Now I got money that's hard to find. Won't give me no peace of mind. Something that I've lived with all along. Days and weeks and months and years, filling in the time, my dear, trying to find a place where I belong. Ooh, and I got a hunger that's hard to fill, driving me on overkill, tells me that everything's gone wrong. Got me a need that I can't break, more that I can hardly take. Somehow I still keep on going strong. When I call your name, I'm gonna scream out loud and say, here I am, standing in the crowd. To say, come to me with your open mind. You never know what you still might find, but you keep me here like a castle flight, an empty train running through the night, an orphan child, a broken shoe, and I'm still out here looking out for you. Are you there for me? 'Cause I'm here for you. Are you there for me? I'm here for you. There for me. I'm here for you. There for me. I'm here for you. I'm here for you. Here for you.
I would say rather than getting to know God more, I feel like I've let God shape me more. You know, like I feel very, you can be a great friend and like be super nice, but then your siblings drive you crazy. Like that thing. And it's like you really have to work on those real bits of your personality.
Your siblings are rubbing off.
They're
That's
rubbing off,
right.
yeah, like rubbing off. And I think like I've just been really, really pushed in like how I handle suffering and what I do with it. And basically, I think that how your attitude to suffering or like how you're handling the suffering can double the suffering. You know, so like, you know, God asks you to do like, well, sometimes He asks you to do something and sometimes He tells you to do stuff. So like, you know, when the baby's crying again in the night, you know, you're being told what you need to do. You know what you need to do. Sometimes it's like your own like dread of that or like resistance to that actually makes like a much bigger burden. And I think that like God's really said to me that, you know, He really wants to like push me in this challenge, like how I'm reacting to suffering because I'm quite a suffering wimp. Really facing up to that, and you know those moments where you just lie in bed and go like, just not again, like not like I can't, but you can.
I think there's always this, like we've all got sufferings that we don't prefer
You don't want, yeah, you fight them.
to other ones.
You fight them,
You know, like
you know,
yours might be
yeah.
a sleep one. Mine might be like, I can't resist eating another bit of whatever the food is that I really like. Or
absolutely. If you're good at it, it's almost, well, that's not where you need pushed. Like I'm rubbish at it. That's why I needed pushed, and like I've been pushed. I think that, you know, so a friend of mine like came up with this thing that I found really useful. You basically use Mary's fiat when you really don't want to. That moment where just can't go to the baby again, you know, like there's some, you know,
you're
you just
trying a
can't
million
bear
things
it.
and the baby's crying.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah,
please
yeah.
stop.
Or, you know, for me, it's always in the night, you know, like, and it's just like you make, as you make yourself do it, you say yes, like I'm being asked to do this. Yes, and you make like a verb or whatever, like act of will. Like you don't feel like it, obviously. You know, Mary's asked to do so much. more.
And she's so graceful.
So graceful. So it's,
I am the handmaid of the Lord.
it's
be it
trying
done
to
me.
participate in that, like use some of like Mary's power and saying yes to
Just get that little.
these horrible. Yeah, exactly. It's more like a yes. And using that has really helped me in some moments, especially
I like that.
like what's really come to me to offer up for a lot is like people who want children who don't have children, you know, like my friends in that position. I think that's really powerful because you're always praying like, let them have this suffering, like they want this suffering. That really orders like how you feel about it. I still fall very short of where I would like to be with it, but I definitely feel that I've been shaped more. I always went around saying I can handle anything but the sleep, and then the sleep was the thing that John is very bad at, right? And I almost think that sometimes when you get these things in your head, God almost like has to knock it out of you, because once you realise you can do it and you can basically function on basically no sleep and you're like, it's all right, really, I'm all right. You really just get to that stage and you have to say, I've almost been like set free from that thing that I think I couldn't handle. You know, so sometimes God exactly asks you to do that thing that you think that
face
you
it.
can't.
And when it's like the niggle on the side, it's almost more difficult to deal with rather than when it's right in your face and it's so hard. I'm like, right, I can kind of do, sometimes I can do the big stuff, like, right, this is going to be a big day, a big night, or whatever it is, like the baby's not well, or whatever. I can do this, but then when it's like things come up and surprise you, or the niggling, catch me out. Fee, thank you so much for having us, sharing your wisdom, and God bless you and your family. Please keep Fee in your prayer, as do all the families that are brave enough, or just, you know, don't think of it enough, or don't discern it enough to come on the channel. But thank you so much, Felipe. Please continue praying for our work on One of Nine. We have got so many exciting episodes lined up and gorgeous families, and we want to keep going with this work. So if you're not supporting us, please do consider supporting us. God bless you.
So look, Scotland is an amazing destination for family holiday if you can afford the fuel to get there.
Yeah, great adventure.
We've got the ferry.
From Largs
I think so, yeah, it was.
to the island of Cumbria.
That's it, Maria. Small island, you could drive around it in 20 minutes, half an hour.
Something like that. We wanted to drive to this high point, the highest point on the island.
Yeah, and
We'd planned this a year.
yeah, kites are great value for children, for entertainment.
But they do rely on you holding on to them and not letting go. And if after this entire year of planning, that was her birthday present, wasn't it? Her birthday kite. And she wasn't keen on Rupert having a turn.
No, she had great instincts.
One of the transitions meant the kite was let go of, flew, and then we saw that it seemed to have stopped somewhere.
Anyway, thus began a march across the island to retrieve the kite.
A very, very thick grass.
Yeah.
That's spiky. Poor children are crying. And we had sandals on.
We found the kite attached to
the electric wire.
electric wire, very skillfully wrapped itself around it. And it could be there to this day, I wonder, Maria.
I wonder.
The cord was so strong.